Love and light. What's going on, guys? Let's dive back into another EA Sports college football breakdown. And if you want to help the energy keep growing in our community as we continue to push to 1,000 subscribers, make sure you double tap that screen. Make sure you hit that notification bell. And if you want to do us a solid, hit that like. So let's get started. A lot of people don't know that the 10-year wait we have had for this game to return has a deep history. And when I say deep history, I mean there has been a lot of different cover athletes involved in this game. So in this video, we're going to talk about each one. Before the birth of the modern sports era, things were very limited and there wasn't much you can do or display in the collegiate game. So these stories, these players are definitely overdue for the shine and the homage that they deserve. EA's football cover stars operated on a different principle for a while compared to the spotlight athletes in other sports games. NCAA rules forbade college athletes from appearing on the cover, so you nearly always saw NFL rookies sporting their jersey from previous years, usually with at least one trophy or one high recognition under their belt. EA wasn't afraid to get a bit silly with NCAA franchise either. At one point, the publisher honored the community's voice and made the mascot the star of the NCAA game. The franchise came to a messy end in 2014 as licensing issues, debates over appropriation of player likeness brought NCAA football to a halt. But now we're back. So here's a walkthrough of 20 years of NCAA football's cover stars and a look at the 2025 cover stars. So let's pay homage. Let's go ham. So for you kids out there, or you people who really didn't know, it wasn't always called NCAA football. Back in 1994, it was actually called Bill Walsh College Football. Before EA had the license to actually use college names and teams, there was Bill Walsh College Football, named after the award-winning, immense legendary coach had left the NFL by the time the EA first college football came around. Following a spectacular victory in the Super Bowl 1988 and an entry into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, this was a perfect leader and face for breaking into the college ranks. They broke into the college ranks in a big way, so they carried the name over to College Football 95, featuring Bill Walsh and the in-game teams and the real rosters from the 1993 season. So like we said in the intro, EA definitely wanted to get silly with the franchise, and they actually just wanted to honor what they said that they would do for their community. So Tommy Trojan was picked to be the leader of the face of the game for college football 1996. And this game was a little bit different because it had a big draw, NCAA teams in the game, over 100 of them, and official NCAA tournaments for that time. So from this point on in the video, this is where it's about to start to get spicy. This is where it's about to start to get juicy. A lot of these teams, if you're sports fans, a lot of these names, if you're a sports fan, college football fan, and or a football fan, you're definitely going to recognize. So 1997, Tommy Frazier was featured. University of Nebraska quarterback Tommy Frazier was the first actual athlete to grace the cover of EA NCAA games, though this one was still rocking the U.S. college football name. It launched slightly to, less critical acclaim of the Bill Walsh name, but thanks to a few features and its appalling bad Super Nintendo sport, it definitely didn't get the fanfare that it deserved. EA finally settled into the NCAA football name in 1997 and slapped Heisman Trophy winner and University of Florida alum Danny Wolfer on the cover. The PlayStation 1 game version was a problem for critics at the time, as they noted the outdated graphics stood out and unmistakably compared to the other versions. On the brighter side, this was the first NCAA game to introduce Dynasty Mode, where you could take a team through the full 4 years of road to glory or utter embarrassment depending on how you played. NCAA Football 1999 featured Charles Woodson on the cover. Charles Woodson was the first non-quarterback to be featured on an NCAA football cover. Like College Football 97, this one boosted a few improvements, but they were enough for PC Gamer to consider it a better game than 1999's Madden. Now this is very interesting, guys, because this, I feel like, is when college football started to take over the conversation of being the best football game out there, even being better than Madden, which hit its peak in 2004. University of Texas running back and Heisman Trophy winner Ricky Williams appeared on the cover of NCAA Football 2000, a game that changed quite a bit for the franchise. In addition to increasing the number of teams, EA finally bumped up the number of bowls from 4 to 23 and even added the option to edit new plays. NCAA Football 2001 made some big changes to the formula and put Sean Alexander, University of Alabama running back, on the front of it. This time, you could create your own school, players, and even take part in playoffs at the end of Dynasty mode. Florida State's Chris Winkie ends up taking the stage of the 2002 version of NCAA football. Despite the predecessors and a lot of the features being rolled back in the previous version, it is being dubbed the best college football game ever made. Critics overlooked the creative player and creative school options and praised the 2002's deep stat tracking and expansive skill system. Corey Harrington of the University of Oregon made his EA Sports cover debut in 2003 and fared better than its 2002 version. It brought back creative player options, added trophies, matchup of mascots, and a whole lot more. And this is where the continuation of college football being better than Madden. Ironically, it's crazy that college football is always compared to Madden, but this next game that we're going to talk about is definitively my favorite college football version, and this is the one that made me love the game and dive into the game. I think I've played more hours of NCAA football 2004 than anything, and this features USC's own Heisman winning Carson Palmer. Now, he showed up and the Dynasty mode was dialed up. It was cranked up to like no other level. You could replay classic matches from NCAA history, a feature that they might add into the 25 version, and it was pretty much improving every animation, and this one actually rivals Madden 2004. Larry Fitzgerald represented the University of Pittsburgh in 2005 in the late-gen reimagining of this franchise. While it didn't tweak the formula from 2004, it did introduce home field advantage, dynamic crowds, and the metric of picking a lot more teams. Desmond Howard was unique in the franchise's history. The University of Michigan player was the only one in the last 10 years to not be an NFL rookie by the time he featured the cover of the game. NCAA Football 2006 was the pendulum game to launch PS2 and the original Xbox. It added in-depth cover mode, option to recruit new freshmen, and mid-season picks. Heisman winner and University of Southern California player Reggie Bush was the player who bridged the console generation, appearing on the PS3 and Xbox 360 version, as well as the PS2 and Xbox One original. In 2007, they really didn't tweak too much of the game. It redefined Campus Legends Simulator, it added momentum meter, and it boosted everybody's performance. Reggie Bush was the original video game player. Boise State broke the pattern of repeating universities and saw star player Jerry Zabransky on the cover of NCAA Football 2008. 2008 suffered from the most NCAA sports syndrome ever, which is to say the kind of same thing as the previous one. Fewer noticeable improvements and alterations meant that it still scored well, but it is a carbon copy of the predecessor. In 2009, EA decided to mix it up with the different feature of every school on different versions of the game. If you had the Wii version, you got Michigan State Sparty. If you got the PS2 version, you got Deshaun Jackson's Cal. If you got the PS3 version, Matt Ryan, Boston College. If you got the PSP version, Owen Schmidt, West Virginia. If you got the Xbox 360 version, Darren McFadden, Arkansas. So EA wanted to continue to feature different people on every version of the game in 2010. If you got the PS3 version, it was Brian Johnson from Utah. If you got the PS2 version, it was Brian Arakpo from Texas. If you got the PSP version, it was Mark Sanchez from USC. And if you got the Xbox 360 edition, it was Michael Crabtree from Texas Tech, before the Richard Sherman mediocre comments. Now, the graphics of these editions didn't inspire critics, but the sheer possibility of the new team builder mode, where you can put together high school teams, college teams from the past, it added a little bit more of realism and immersivism of the college life. NCAA Football 2011, featuring the infamous, the legendary Timothy Tebow. The University of Florida's Timothy Tebow ushered in a big changes in 2011, featuring online dynasty mode, new animations, better movement, lighting, much more. Sure, the existing game modes added all that, but when Tim brought it, you felt like you were really in the swamp. NCAA football 2012 featured Mark Ingram II from the University of Alabama, and he actually was a Heisman winner, but this was a fan poll that EA broke out, and they did it in Madden as well. So there was a couple different people who were featured in this poll. You got Nick Fairley from Auburn, you got DeMarco Murray from Oklahoma, and you got Jake Locker from Washington. NCAA football 2012 boasted a much deeper version of Dynasty mode, while critics anticipated the redefinement of animations and immersivism. They definitely weren't disappointed in the actual realism of the stadiums. Baylor's Robert Griffin III shared the cover with Oklahoma State's Barry Sanders for this one. Critics expressed similar views to the last three predecessors, but this game was very fun, new lighting, new features, and they always added those ever clever little quality of life keeks to keep the game going. University of Michigan's Denard Robinson closed out EA's NCAA run when NCAA 2014, and it was the least received games in the series. But it's crazy. In the 10 years that we have waited for this game to return, there have been so many custom leagues, online leagues, simulation leagues, mod leagues. We literally resurrected this franchise from the dead, ladies and gentlemen. If you listened up to this point in the video, make sure you double tap that screen with a like. So let's give praise to Denard Robinson. And we waited 10 years. Kids were born and grew up in the time span that we had to wait for a college football game. And now we have college football 25. Travis Hunter, Colorado. Quinn Ewers, Texas. Donovan Edwards, Michigan. They graced the covers. They are taking over. Ladies and gentlemen, at the time of this upload, we are about 12 days away from going online live on campus. Till next time, King of the Podcast, Casual Gamer, the Contrarian. Let me know your favorite game. Let me know your favorite cover athlete. Let me know if you're ready for some college football in the comments. I'm out.